1 second, and we're live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Amherst Design Review Board meeting of May 19th, 2025. My name is Erica Zikas, and I'm the chair of the Amherst Design Review Board and calling this meeting to order at 5:06 p.m. The meeting is being recorded and will be made available via the Town of Amherst YouTube channel, and minutes are being taken. This meeting will be conducted via remote means pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, extended through June 30th, 2027, the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote or hybrid manner. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so via Zoom or by telephone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. A hyperlink to the hearing is posted on the town's online calendar. Board members, I will take roll call. When I call your name, please let me know that you're here. Lindsay Schnarr,
Present.
Pat Oth,
Present.
Karen Blum.
Present.
Okay, Karen Winter is not present tonight, and Erica Zikos present. Board members, if technical issues arrive, we may need to pause temporarily to fix the problem and then continue the meeting. If the discussion needs to pause, it will be noted in the minutes. Please use the raise hand function to ask a question or make a comment. I will see your request and call on you to speak. After speaking, remember to remute yourself. The general public comment item is reserved for public comment items regarding items that both are and are not on tonight's agenda. Please be aware that the board will not respond to comments during the general public comment period. Public comment could also be heard at other times during the meeting when determined appropriate. Please indicate that you wish to make a comment by clicking the raised hand button when public comment is solicited. If you've joined the Zoom meeting using a telephone, please indicate that you wish to make a comment by pressing *9 on your phone. When called on, please identify yourself by stating your full name and address and put yourself back into mute when finished speaking. Residents can express their views for up to 3 minutes or at the discretion of the chair. If a speaker does not comply with these guidelines or exceeds their allotted time, the participation will be discontinued from the meeting. At this meeting, Design Review Board will conduct the following business. We will review 3 items tonight. DRB FY 2025-17, 1046 Southeast Street, the Munson Library ramp. 2025-15, 2527 South Pleasant Street, Zoo's Kitchen, and 2025-16, 189 North Pleasant Street, Astor and Pine Market. Then we'll first start with general public comment period and review our agenda items, and then any other approval of meeting minutes, and then other business. So are there any members of the public present who would like to speak tonight?
I don't have anyone in the audience.
Okay. All right, then. Let's get started with...
I have a hand.
Oh, okay. Lindsay.
Hi, I just wanted to comment that I do work with one of the owners of Astor and Pine, and I'm not sure if that may be a conflict of interest. Perhaps not, but I just wanted to mention it.
Thanks. I think that you would want to put that in writing. And do we have a quorum if you don't vote, just in case?
I don't think you do.
I don't think we do, but 3 out of, yeah,
I think you do. You do
we
have a
do.
quorum.
3 out of 5. So yeah, we can, if you wanted to, just for the sake of caution, so if you didn't write a letter in advance, abstain from voting, I think that would be fair.
Okay.
Comments welcome, but
Comments welcome, no voting.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think when we anticipate something that might be perceived of as a conflict of interest, that we're supposed to put it in writing prior to the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So members of the town to present the Munson Library are present with us this evening.
They are. I'm going to bring Nate Malloy in 1 second.
Hi, everyone. Nate Malloy, a planner with the town. I can speak to the Munson Memorial Library ramp project. The town applied last year for a grant through the Massachusetts Office of Disabilities. We received it in the fall. And so we're working through final design and permitting to have it constructed this summer. It's to go off the south entrance. There's an existing door now with a portico, and to create a level landing, so a 0-step entry, and then a ramp down, and then a sidewalk at grade to connect to the existing sidewalk. There really aren't any other improvements to the site. We are hoping to get automatic door openers actually for most of the doors inside the library, some of the heavier doors. That's something that may or may not be, it wasn't part of the grant. We're working through the budget now. And I can share my screen.
Thanks, Nate.
Here. Just quickly, this is the library in a sketch form. There's the existing concrete sidewalk from Southeast Street, a courtyard, and then what we're talking about is the southern entrance here off the meeting room. We're not making any other improvements to the rest of the site. It's really just this area. Here's an aerial showing roughly what it will look like when it comes off. We have more detailed. This was something we applied for. The pathways move closer to the courtyard wall. This is kind of just a schematic sketch just to show what it looks like on the site. As part of the project, we are putting drainage that comes from, there's an existing foundation drain. We're going to improve that and have a daylight down here. There's a catch basin here, so the water would daylight and then just run to the catch basin. So we're going to pick that up and improve it. And then, there's a section of a ramp. So most of it's a walkway. When it comes out of this entry, it'll turn the corner, and then there is a part of a ramp that needs railings. And so right now there's a few steps up into the portico. I'm just going to scroll for a second. So here's the existing conditions. And so these columns and everything will remain, and all the bases here will remain. The idea is this will all be brought up level with the door. So the columns will be shortened, but there'll be ideas to try to cut them in the middle or somewhere or close to the base, but keep all the bases and pedestals here. Cover all this up. It'll be new concrete. It will come out, as the diagram showed, straight out and then turn 90 degrees and wrap around the building. This porch and trellis will need to be removed on the left, and there's a lilac bush at the corner that will be removed. It's keeping close to the building so it doesn't impact this tree. There's another maple tree in the yard, mature maple tree, so we're trying to keep it away from that. Here's another view of this entry. This lamp will be brought up, so it'll just have better headroom. So we're going to reuse this and just shorten the chain. This is the back of the library, so the foundation drain will come out here in daylight. There is an existing manhole here and some other utilities in this section, and here's the catch basin. And the sidewalk or the walkway will be at grade similar to this. This is existing concrete. It'll come right along this corner, and it'll be 1 foot off this courtyard wall, and it'll wrap and touch here. It'll be essentially at grade when it gets to this point. And this is the view of the railings on the northern entrance, and so it'll mimic this pattern. So the elevated landing and part of the ramp will have a railing to match this style, and also have a double handrail. This is just a single, but it's a similar profile, just a round profile. It meets access code. And so here's the actual formal plan that was developed. It'll come out. This is all concrete the whole way. There will be some exposed concrete on the back here and along the edge of the ramp. We'll grade up to it as best we can, but there will be some exposed concrete. And there's the railings that wrap around the corner, and then the handrails just for, there's a 12-foot section of ramp at 8%. So these two sections will be at, a fairly steep ramp, and then it'll be at grade. It'll be a simple score pattern to the concrete to get out to the existing. Everything in between the ramp and the building and the courtyard wall will be 2-inch natural stone. It'll be a gravel area. We're not proposing any plantings. It'll help with drainage and maintenance. And then the foundation drain is shown here. So that'll be the first thing that'll be installed. And here is an elevation of what it looks like. Zoom in a bit. So there will be some exposed concrete, and It's pretty simple. This will make it a usable room right now. There's functions cannot be held here really because this is not an accessible entrance or exit. So although people do use it, this has been something that was noted in the transition plan. It's something the town has talked about, and we applied twice for this grant. So we're pretty excited that in the second round we were funded. It does leave open the opportunity. There's parking here at the South Congregational Church, and people often park here. Although not part of it, if you wanted to, you could come off the landing here. And it's pretty level, and the building commissioner had the grade work so that you could get up to here without having another ramp. And so the idea is to, if in the future we need to tie in a sidewalk here to this parking area, you could without much slope to it. I don't know if there's any questions or comments.
Yeah, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you. I think it's a important improvement to this great public space, and especially with the Jones going offline for a while and increased use of the Munson and all of those things. So my provocative question is, do you need a guardrail at all? We know you need a handrail, but do you need a guardrail? You're only going up a foot. And I think, according to the International Building Code, that you don't need the 42-inch guardrail in addition unless you're going up above, well, 30 inches or higher above grade. And then the more provocative question is, if you were to lower the slope, extend out another 8 feet so that you had a 1 in 20 rise instead of a 1 in 12 rise, you could do away with all rails altogether. And would you consider that to avoid having the kind of locked in hardware heavy condition that we see now?
Right. Yeah, I've been told that the height of the floor elevation here to come out here is high enough that you would still need at least curbing, on the landing. So if you don't have a guardrail, you'd need a curb.
Yep.
But you'd have to have some section of ramp that it would be steep enough. And so it might be a cost savings measure not to chase it out so much with the grading and the drainage near the building. I think the idea was to try to match what's on the northern side with the handrail. But it could be a possibility to just have a curbing on this.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a landscape slope of 1 in 20 or less, and you're only going up a foot,
It would be
we should all triple check the code, obviously, but I think that both ADA and International Building Code suggest that you do not need either handrail or guardrail. And if you have a 1 in 12 slope like you're suggesting in your drawings, then I think that you'd only need the handrail, but not in addition the guardrail.
No, agreed. That would just be a sloped walkway. But what I've been told is at the height of this, if you come out level off of this to have a 0-step entry into here, it's high enough that you'd have to at least have a bumper.
Yeah, you'd have to have a curb for sure, but that's a much less visually impactful condition for this historic facade. So I'm putting that out there because I think that it's just a lot to look at. And while I think that making this building accessible is critical, I just don't think that we need to introduce more metal than necessary. So I would say I'd like to have a code check on this before we proceed. And to, the ramp that you're suggesting on the drawings anyway is only 12 feet long. So that suggests that you're going up a foot. Right? So I think that you're in good shape. I see Karen's hand as well.
I appreciate your wanting to mimic what exists on the north side, but my question is, do you see the north and south side together? Are you able to see, would you see the visual similarity, or are they really not in the same site?
Yeah, I mean, the north side is here, so it'd only be visible if you're at, a distance from the library, whether it's in the front or the rear.
Okay.
So, you wouldn't see them in the same.
Yeah.
Typically, you wouldn't see them in the same view.
So perhaps the need to mimic might not be as great if they're not really visually seen together.
Yeah, I can relay that to the building commissioner and facilities director.
Does anybody else want to offer a thought, a comment? Lindsay.
Hello. I'm just curious. I have shockingly never been to the Munson Library. I don't know how that's possible, but now it's on my list of things to do immediately. This is a good reminder. Could you let me know what happens at the main entrance, the west entrance? Are there steps on either of those?
There are, and so and then there's double doors when you walk in. There's historic doors both at the entry and then into a hallway, and so that's where the door openers come into play. So they're double doors. Even at this entrance, there's a lot of double doors, and so to make it accessible, both doors have to open. Otherwise, it's not wide enough. And so this walkway is accessible. It gets you to the entrance, but there's an elevator in the library, and to actually access that, you'd have to use, you have to use this entrance in the rear. But right now, there's sometimes during voting and others events, there might be one-way circulation out. And so people are stepping off the landing here onto the grass, and there's really no walkway. And so this is, I think there's probably a series of improvements that need to be made, and this is, probably phase one of a few accessibility improvements to the Munson Library.
Okay, that actually kind of answers my next question, or the question I was getting at, which is just, how is this route connected to the path of travel for most visitors? And, just thinking about trying to make our accessible options as connected to the primary pathway as possible. But that helps to know that people are using this and need that connection of a pathway as it's currently used.
Yeah, I could see now that this becomes a, kind of almost the main entrance to this meeting room if this were in place, as opposed to having to circulate, another way into the room. So this would become probably a more widely used entrance than, coming up here for some people.
So do people have to go through the meeting room then to access the main library?
No, so if you come in this main entrance, there's a hallway, you can get into the library without getting into the meeting room. But if you need to use the meeting room right now and you need an accessible route, you'd come around the back of the building and then take an elevator up. And then to leave, you'd have to, retrace your steps. And so right now the meeting room is not accessible from the ground floor, first floor, or the site.
So if you were to come to the building in a wheelchair and want to go somewhere not through the meeting room, you could go around that back entrance to the elevator.
Right. There's another meeting room in the lower level, and then you could take an elevator up into the circulation area into the rest of the library.
Okay. All right. So thank you for answering that. And then I do want to just respond to Erica's proposal, and I do believe her code analysis is in line with my understanding as well. And I can imagine that there may be reasons why you want to do it, the way you've shown. But I do think it's worth looking at an alternative in which because Erica, could you pull up just the plan that shows the path with the ramp?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like 8%, 1 in 12. So if we were to double the length, let's say, just for simple math, it'd be landing right about that courtyard.
Right. So to land here as opposed to here.
Yeah. And that length would, at 1 in 20, would allow you to remove all those railings, which could be a nice option to consider. Or to simply have the handrail without the the balusters of the guard, because I think visually for me, at least to my eye, the guardrail feels pretty heavy with those vertical balusters. And so even though it, there's a precedent for it, which I understand wanting to relate to the existing railing, I think that it is a pretty heavy looking guard. So I would encourage utilizing the options you have to reduce the impact of the railing, whatever you choose. That's it.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'll go to Pat next and then Karen.
Yes, I'm just making a comment about the railing and the grade. I think the lower the grade, the better. And I think there needs to be a handrail because not everyone is in a wheelchair. They might be using canes. And oftentimes look for a handrail when they're on a rise or coming down from a rise. And so I would encourage that the handrails remain.
Thanks, appreciate that. Karen, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just wondering if these options, including the rear option, are made explicit. How do people know about where to go?
When arriving at the library, how will they know where to go?
Right. How would they know the different options?
Yeah, there's a sign on the building, but there might need to be some more signage to explain this if this were installed. So right now there's a sign directing people to the north, to the driveway as the accessible entrance.
Okay, thank you.
That's another good point. Is there any lighting of the ramp surface? You mentioned shortening the pendant light in the portico. Is there any lighting on the surface of the ramp?
No, so there's there's an existing pole light here on the site, and there's a wall pack light here, and that's and then there's the light here, and that's for now. My understanding is that those are the only lights that will be in place. So there isn't additional lighting proposed for the walkway at this time. It may be, I think that if this becomes more widely used, that there might need to be an additional light, a wall mount or something. We're trying not to do a pole light just to run conduit because of the trees, but I do think there may need to be something in the future.
Would surface mounting a light on the side of the building, as you just suggested, be a possibility, like wiring from the interior? It's a brick building. I'm just curious about how that happens.
Yeah, so it's not in this project budget. It's something that would have to come about later. You could, I think, you can corn to brick. I don't know what it's like actually in the wall there. But
okay. Would you mind showing us one more time the elevation view?
Sure. Oh, sorry.
Because I'm really appreciating Pat's comment about kind of accessibility for all, and I'm thinking of the visual impact, but I do feel I'm coming around to the notion of the handrail, so that just for the folks that are looking, the handrail is
yeah, I can annotate that the handrail
that'd be great. Yeah,
is required to have a double handrail.
yep.
So, but on the north side, it's just the top rail. If it were ever to be improved, we'd have to have the lower rail.
Yeah, and then the guardrail is the one with all of the vertical pickets, and that tops out at 42 inches. So if we could, even if the slope remains at this 1 in 12 or 8.3%, maintain the handrail, continuing it around the corner, and it has to happen on both sides. Where you have one, it has to happen on both sides. But eliminate the guardrail, I think, just softens and preserves that facade view and provides the kind of steady support for folks who need it, even if it isn't fully required by the code. And it's a cost savings. So yeah, and I think you definitely have space to extend the ramp and lower that slope if you wanted to. And I don't know where the the money could be spent on like berming a little bit, you know, moving some of the land up to the slope of the concrete. Is one
Yeah,
possibility.
I can speak with Rob Mora tomorrow and other staff and see how we can, you know, make any adjustments if that's possible.
Yeah. And did you said that the auto door hardware was mentioned in your narrative, but that's not part of the scope of this?
We hope it is. You know, we're running into budget issues. And so at least for this entrance, it'll have door openers. And then, you know, the idea was to get 6 or 8 other openers for all other doors in the library.
Mhm.
And so I think it may be that we purchase them and then, you know, staff does the installation as opposed to having a contractor do it, which was part of the original budget. I think when we first applied, it was over a year ago, and I think this right now is going to cost a little bit more than we budgeted for and were awarded.
Mhm. So should we discuss at this moment where the remote push button would be located?
Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, I was thinking it was going to be if it's not a remote, if it's not an opener, it's going to be is it going to be that, or is it going to just be like an assist opener? So what, you know, once you start opening it, it pushes with you. You know, it's an auto, you know, it's an assist as opposed to an automatic
Okay.
opener.
I see.
It's a powered. Might be a better way to describe it, like an assisted.
Okay,
gate.
so it's not like there's a button that's 5 feet away from the door that you push and then the door.
That was not my understanding,
Okay.
but I can, yeah, if you want to talk about that, I can clarify that. Because otherwise, you'd have to either have it, you know, a pedestal with it, or you'd put it on, you know, the face of
Mhm.
of the door casing or something.
Buried on the inside of one of those. I couldn't, the columns are round, so that's.
Yeah, I know it'd have to go into the you know, in here somewhere.
Mhm.
Right.
So I have a question.
Go ahead. Beth.
The doors will open out,
Yes,
and so is the platform wide enough
yes.
for the doors to open out and have a wheelchair or some handicapped person then still be able to enter?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So
Okay.
the idea is both doors have to open at the same time, and so you know, the other option would be you would put in one new door that's wide enough, but we're going to have both doors open at the same time, and then this becomes a 0-step. You know, this all becomes level out to here, and it comes out wide enough so that there's a 5-foot diameter circle for turnaround out here beyond the columns.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from or questions for Nate from board members? No. Okay. We don't have cut sheets on the handrail and proposed guardrails, and we do have descriptions. Is everybody satisfied with those descriptions? Black painted metal. We have the pictures of what exists on the north side for reference.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm satisfied.
All right. So I think the primary comment here, the recommendation is to do a thorough code review and eliminate the guardrail. Everything else seems like it was met with approval. Am I missing anything, members?
No.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve
Just a quick
with
question.
recommendations, or, sorry, just one quick thought, Nate, let me finish my thought. We could approve with the recommendation, or we could ask them to revise and resubmit. And I just leave that for discussion. And
I feel confident that the input can be incorporated thoughtfully, and
Okay.
I would make a motion at this time to approve.
just hold on your motion for a second, because I
Mhm.
interrupted Nate while I was talking before. So Nate, go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, yeah, thanks. If, you know, if the height is enough that it's required to have either a curb or a guardrail, you know, would the preference is, my understanding is like some type of curb as opposed to the whole system. Yeah.
Yes, and I think it's just much more kind of visually seamless to have the curb, because the curb is only 2 inches high and 2 inches wide, so it's
Right.
much less impactful. Okay, all right, Lindsay, take it away. Sorry.
Sure. So I move to approve the proposal for the accessible entrance at the Munson Library with the recommendation that the guardrail is eliminated and the handrail and curb are used at the ramp edge. And that extending the ramp to a 1 in 20 slope is also considered.
Great.
I second it.
Thank you, Karen. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. That's everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for doing this work.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Nate.
Okay. And I believe that Juice Kitchen is the next on the agenda.
That's correct. I will bring in, I believe Mr. Salvani is presenting on their behalf.
All right.
Should join us shortly.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Mr.
Yes.
Salvani, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, thanks. Would you like to share your screen this evening, or would you like me to do that on your behalf?
You could do it on my behalf. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, all right. So I have the documents that you've shared with us.
Right.
And let's see if I can get this out of the way. These are the images and then some information. So let me know, you can steer me around, but thank you. If you wouldn't mind describing your proposal.
Okay, we're going to reuse the same exact signs that are there, the same size, the same material. We're just going to take them down, turn them around, take the letters off, and then put a new aluminum face on the existing sign and put them back up. So we're not really doing anything different than what you see right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then just on these images, I'm seeing also some yellow colored paint in the profile. Is that part of the scope of this proposal?
No, I don't even know where they came from. That was a picture I found online, and I just superimposed the images on there.
Okay.
Unless that's the way it looks now. I can't remember.
That
Maybe
is the way it is now.
it is. Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
This is an old picture.
Oh, this is the old one. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
You know, you go by it all the time and it's just not part of
I know, right?
part
Yeah.
of my visual memory. All right, so this is the color scheme that's there now.
Right.
And then you're repeating the Juice Kitchen Asian Bistro and Ramen over both sides.
Yeah, the sign on the right-hand side has a bowl of ramen, but the other one doesn't. That's the only difference between the two signs.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see, this is just highlighting the location, I think.
Right, exactly, right.
Okay. All right. And the window signs, the window stickers,
We're not doing the window stickers, just the signs above.
just the sign, and the awnings are there and remaining.
The awnings are there, everything's there except for this, the signs were taken off, refacing and putting it back on.
I see. Okay. All right, so I'll open the floor for questions and comments. Lindsay?
Hi, I'm glad to see something is coming into this location.
Me too.
Um, yeah, I think that the signage is eye-catching and but I do feel like the amount of letters, especially with that font, is a little bit busy to my eye. And having two of them right next to each other. So I'm wondering if you would consider putting Asian Bistro and Ramen on one of the signs and Zoo's Kitchen on the other, and just having you could keep the same font and coloring, and that way it feels like it's all part of the same business signage, but your eye can kind of read one and then the other without them both being quite so compressed.
I agree with that. Yeah, this is what the customer asked me to do, but I like your idea.
Well, now you have a second opinion.
Yeah.
Back you up.
Karen, you want to add your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And also, I'm just wondering if the spacing between the letters could be expanded.
It can be, it is really condensed because the customer wanted all that on one sign. But once we do what Lindsay says, it will be a lot better spacing.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Mm.
Pat, please.
I'm just weighing in, saying I'm in agreement with these suggestions. I think visually it would be more eye-catching than it is right now.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make that unanimous. I appreciate the suggestion, and I think that Zoo's Kitchen over the portion of the facade with the main entrance door, and Asian Bistro and Ramen with the bowl of ramen over the other. It's the color scheme, the font are all consistent, so I think we're definitely going to read it as one business. And I think it'll look nice and sophisticated.
So what do I do? What do I do now? Sorry.
Well, we'll finish up our comments and then we'll make a recommendation that will be forwarded to the building commissioner,
Right.
who will then communicate with your client about our recommendations.
Perfect, okay.
Let's see, were there any other questions? I think, could you verify the existing signboard material? I think you said that whatever's there is turning around and then you're putting a new aluminum face on it.
Yeah, it's about 3/4 inch, it's wood. It's
Mm-hmm.
about 3/4 inch thick wood.
Okay.
There's letters that are cut out and drilled in, and we're gonna pull those out,
Mm-hmm.
flip it over, and then put a piece of aluminum across the whole thing with the print on it and screw it into it. So it won't be sticking out lettering. It'll just be flat against the actual board itself.
Okay. Okay. And is there any lighting that's going to be integrated?
No lighting, no.
No lighting. And
Just as it is, yeah.
okay, that's what's there now.
Yeah.
No lighting. Okay. Board members, any other questions or observations? All right. And of course, we're going to remind you that if any vinyl window stickers do come up, that will be permanent. I know you said that what's in this image is not going to be going in, but things like hours of operation, welcome on the door, anything like that, that would come before the board as well.
Okay.
Would somebody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the signs as presented with the recommendations that we've made as we discussed this. That one sign just have Zeus Kitchen and the other sign have the whole message.
Asian Bistro and
Minus, minus Zeus Kitchen, right?
Excuse me?
The first sign, just Zeus Kitchen, and the second sign's just gonna say, Asian Bistro and Ramen, right?
You can say Zeus Kitchen, Asian Bistro and Ramen, but I think the Zeus Kitchen should be standalone and perhaps centered on that sign.
Okay.
We're
Yeah, let's clarify.
yeah.
Friendly clarification if we could.
My understanding was that, and perhaps I have this wrong, Zeus Kitchen would be on one awning,
Yes.
and then Asian Bistro, etc., would be on the other awning. Is that?
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I also thought that.
I did too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was reinventing the story.
Mhm.
All right. So Jacinta, would you, I want to make sure that we get this in writing and get it right. So would you
Sure.
mind relaying to us what you have noted down there? Just by,
So-
you're relaying what is Pat's motion.
So I currently have motion to approve the signs as presented with the recommendation to have Zeus Kitchen on one awning and Asian Bistro on the second awning. And I started to write about the spacing, but you haven't gotten there yet.
Right. And just clarification, Asian Bistro and Ramen
Thank you.
on the second one.
And to increase the spacing between letters.
It's not even that so much as that the letters were compressed this way, so when
Right.
I uncompress them, it's gonna do two things. It's gonna put space and it's gonna make them look better. Yeah.
Clarifying question, how did everyone feel about Pat's suggestion to center the text? Do we want that to be part of the recommendation?
I like it.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. That was a team effort.
I have one more clarifying question. I
Uh-huh.
apologize, it's a little bit not how we usually do things in order, but the font size is different between Zeus Kitchen and Asian Bistro and Ramen. Do we want that to be, are we suggesting that they maintain the same, the current difference in font size, or that they're all the same font size?
I don't think it's necessary. Kind of like the hierarchy.
Mhm.
I agree. So perhaps our recommendation could be that Zeus Kitchen remain in the current font size and Asian Bistro and Ramen remain in its smaller font size
Mhm.
and both be centered on their individual signs.
All right.
Is that, do we agree on that?
That sounds good.
Okay.
That is a collective motion. Break all the rules with this one.
Yeah, that's not how we usually do it.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Okay.
You want me to read it again?
Would you mind? And
Okay.
then we'll give Pat the honor of saying, yes, that's my motion. And then we'll
Okay.
have a second.
So motion to approve the signs as presented with the following, let me just put these words in here as I am reading them and creating them, with the following recommendations. To have Zeus Kitchen on one awning and Asian Bistro and Ramen on the second awning. To increase, well, I'm going to put this in parentheses, right? Because as Mr. Salvani has explained, this will organically happen, but just to make sure it's in writing, to increase the spacing between the letters, centering the text on the awning while maintaining the current font sizes as presented.
Brilliant.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Pat, any thumbs up on that?
I do, but I think it's not an awning. I think it's a sign.
It's true.
Okay, so I'll
So
take,
we just need to edit that word, that's all.
I'll just
above the
replace
awning,
awning with sign.
yeah. Mhm.
Correct.
Okay, all
Great.
right.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All
Okay.
those in favor of this recommendation?
Aye.
Aye. That's
Aye.
everybody. Great. Thank you for your presentation,
Oh,
Mr.
thank you.
Solani. We appreciate it. And like I said, this recommendation will go to go kind of move from us to the building commissioner, and then they'll be in touch with
Hey,
you.
thank you very much, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Whew, okay.
All right.
This is great. It's nice to capture it all, you know, it feels good to gather everybody's thoughts. Okay, so our last presenter this evening, our last petition is from Aster and Pine.
They're joining us shortly. Takes them,
Okay.
there's like a lag time between when I promote someone to panelist and when they actually sort of populate in our
Hmm,
space. So, yes, maybe.
okay.
Where did he go? Okay. I feel like it's Willy Wonka almost. I don't know if anyone gets that reference. Like when they go from the TV outside the TV into the TV. Do you
Oh.
remember that scene?
It's been a long
Bingo,
time.
Leslie.
I've only seen the original Willy Wonka.
That's the one
myself.
I'm referring to.
Okay, it's been a really long time.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hey,
Thank you for being here.
yes,
Would you like me to screen share on your behalf as you describe your proposal?
please.
Okay, I'm gladly will do that. Just give me a minute to find the right place to click. And what I'd ask you is just to walk us through your proposal, and I'll just very quickly show you what we have. I've got this narrative, elevation view of the existing photo, this kind of rendered mock-up, and this image here. These are the documents that I have, so you can ask me
Yeah.
to go to any one of them.
Yeah, so just, I mean, basically we have our store and, sometimes we put just a couple of tables out to make it look like a store in Europe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the proposal tonight is just about adding 2 tables
Yeah, just putting the
go.
tables out. Yeah,
2 tables and some chairs.
yeah.
Okay.
We take them in when we close. So
I
at 6
see.
o'clock, we just bring them inside. Yeah.
So are
And
they,
then we don't put them out if there's like inclement weather or whatever,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is this furnishings that you already have?
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we've been doing it since we opened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Could you describe the color of the furnishings?
Gray. They're like, just from IKEA, holding
Hmm,
tables and chairs from IKEA.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty simple, straightforward proposal. Can I open it up to
Yeah,
the
I mean, yeah.
I'll open it up to members of the board for any clarifying questions or comments. And I see Karen.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to get a sense of the sidewalk and the spacing. And
So they're about 2.5 feet wide, the tables, and there's 11 feet of the sidewalk. So there's still like, lots of room for, ADA compliance and everything. It's, no issue. We have plenty of people pass by with, canes and wheelchairs, scooters, the whole gamut.
thank you.
Yeah.
Pat, any questions from you?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. And as long as that the sidewalk is wide enough so as not to obstruct I think it's a tasteful presentation and it does have a taste of Europe.
Okay. Lindsay, any thoughts?
I think it looks nice.
Okay. As do I. Thanks for bringing it to the board.
Thank you.
It seems like there aren't any recommendations coming up. My questions were about color and security, and you've answered them both in your presentation. And you have the furnishings already. So if we were to make comments about what you were gonna, it's not about what you're gonna order. Yeah, I would say that in the future, should you choose to like add umbrellas or something like that to the scenario, you should bring them to the board prior to purchasing them so
Yeah,
that we could weigh in. But at this point, I think it's we can just move
no,
forward.
this is just gonna be it. It's just a place, we find a lot of old people come here and they they find it very helpful to have, a moment to sit before they walk home.
Agreed. And you have a nice white
Yeah.
spot on the sidewalk there because you're inside a little bit, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Cool.
Any further discussion?
No,
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we accept the proposal as presented. The tables outside of the store.
Is there a second?
I seconded.
Thank you, Karen. All those in favor, please say aye. That's 3 of us.
And I'm exempting myself
Lindsay is
because
abstaining.
I work with Mallory. So there's a potential conflict of interest. But it looks great. And I'm in agreement.
Great. You're all set. Thank you for coming by this evening.
Thank you. And then hope to see everybody at the shop soon.
Great.
We do wine tastings every Saturday. And then feel free to enjoy a wonderful soda at these fun tables.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Have a good evening. Thank
Have a
you.
nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Sorry, I'm looking through. I have so many documents open this evening for, okay. No members of the public are present, I think. I'm looking at the numbers, so.
That's correct.
All right, so I just was checking in on that since there were nobody was available or present in the beginning, and now we can move on to meeting minutes.
Mhm. Do you want me to pull them up or?
Yeah, that would be
do I have
wonderful.
them? Okay, hold on.
We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. March 17th and April 14th.
14th, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes, they're teeny tiny, but yes.
Okay, I can make them bigger. I just wanted to make sure. Tell me if that's good. Or if I need to make it enlarge more.
For me, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. This is a reminder that we haven't heard back from
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mandy at the Exchange Thrift Shop.
That's correct. And I reached out several times, so I'm not sure.
Okay, I hope they'll be back.
And I do have an update about the downtown design standards
Great.
I can share. So that's the end. Those are 5 pages. And sorry, I should have explicitly said this is for the March 17th meeting.
Mhm. Okay. Does anybody see any call for edits, questions? Or just
No, no,
okay. I move to approve the minutes of March 17th, 2025.
seconded.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's everybody.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
All right, hold on. Let me just make one. Okay. All right, so that is done. And now the minutes for April 14th, 2025. Here.
Mhm.
And that was it. It was a short meeting that day.
That's right, just the one. Of course, Pat, you weren't present at this one. Does anybody else have questions or comments for Jacinta about these minutes? Looks good to me.
Okay.
Okay. Lindsay is not, oh, there she's back. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure, because if we were gonna vote and Pat wasn't gonna vote, then we'd want to make sure that we were all, okay. Okay, I move to approve the minutes of April 14th, 2025.
Second.
Sorry, Lindsay, all those in favor? Aye.
Okay,
And
great.
Pat will abstain. Great. We are cooking.
All right, that's
And the other
done.
business, it sounds like you may have an update for us about the.
Yes, let me just navigate to that. Okay, so I was told that Dotson and Flinker were provided with the updated DRB standards. They said that they were considering or have considered the proposed standards, and that they seem like reasonable general principles for good design. They're hoping that the standards they write will provide an objective basis for determining whether an applicant complies with the general principles that the DRB outlined. So it doesn't sound like they said they're going to incorporate it, but it sounds like they're being considered. Dodson and Flinker is working on draft standards that will be ready for review in the next month or so. And the DRB, along with other boards and committees, will have an opportunity to provide comments on them. So that's the response that I received. Do you want me to read it again? No? Okay.
No, I am curious about whether, when you said the DRB will have an opportunity, are they planning to present to us at a regular monthly meeting, or are we being asked to attend a general public meeting?
I think that what I got from that is that they're gonna distribute the draft standards and everyone will have a chance to review them in their own, meeting forum and then provide comments, and then it sounds like they will collect those comments upon, distribution or after distribution. I don't think they'll be presenting to anyone, at least as far as I know.
Right. I think something that's on my mind is just the timeline for these kinds of
Mhm.
conversations, and knowing that we tend to meet once a month,
Mhm.
and that they probably have a deadline to deliver these kind of final standards to the town council, the planning board. Want to make sure that we hear from them on a timeline that allows us to have a thoughtful conversation about it and to weigh
I
in.
can pass that along. I'm not the point person working on it
Sure.
with them, so, and this took some doing to get a response. Um, but I can pass that along and
Mhm.
see if that's communicated to them.
Sure, sure. And I
Yeah.
think that as it happens, I mean, oftentimes design standards do have lots of objective and measurable components, but that, as we know from so many of our conversations, that there's a lot of subjectivity, and we want to leave a little bit of room for that. So, okay. Anybody else have thoughts to share on this process? Okay. Well, thank you for being that liaison of information in any case, Jacinta. I'm glad it's moving forward.
You're welcome.
And it's a huge task that Dodson and Flinker are undertaking, to be thinking about the public space and the streetscape and all of that. So
Maybe when Karen comes back, she can give us an update. I think she said she was also participating in some of the workshops or attending some of the meetings.
yeah, I was on that email list while the public meetings were happening, and I haven't received anything for quite some time. So curious about, yeah, perhaps Karen has some additional info.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Any other business?
I don't have any. Does anyone else have any?
No.
Right.
Okay, so I guess the only thing to just confirm, the next meeting date is June 16th. That's Monday, June 16th. And then the next meeting date after that is July 21st. And let me just double check something. I don't know anything about your terms off the top of my head. So I'm gonna make a note, make a note to look into that.
Lindsay's on forever.
I have been on forever.
I think I wrap in end of June 2026,
Okay,
and both Pat and Karen, you have more time than I.
okay.
And Lindsay,
I'm happy to stay on as long as you would continue benefiting from my service, but I also completely I'm okay with, handing the baton.
And when does my service end?
Let me try to find this. Hold on.
Mhm.
Um,
Are we 3-year terms at the start?
let me
1 year.
see. I just thought about it because I have to make sure I know everyone's terms for ZBA, and I just realized, where are you? Okay, here we go. Okay, so appointed, Pat, you were appointed 2023 or, this can't be right. I'm gonna double check this. Nah, I'm not gonna say that out loud. Let me double check a couple things.
Would you email us this information?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Let me do some homework and I'll come back to you. I'll get back to you on that
Okay,
one. Okay,
super.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks for taking care of us, Jacinta.
You're
And I hope
welcome.
everybody's gardens are growing beautifully. And we all have July 12th, sorry,
No,
July
June,
21st and June 16th on our calendars.
correct. Does that work for everyone? I know it's summer and sometimes people travel, so just try to, let me know ahead of time if you're not going to be able to attend.
Mhm.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
that's it for me.
All right. Shall we adjourn then?
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.